Yeah, I had a dream a couple of weeks ago, actually, not long after our last uh, session. Um, well, I've got this old car, very old car from about the 1940s, 1930s, little black thing. And I was pushing it up this alleyway that opened out into a sort of parking area. And then, sort of, some reason it wouldn't go on its own, which I presumably why I was pushing it. And then I turned it round and got in it, and the alleyway sort of sloped down to the main road, and suddenly it started rolling away. And suddenly found, rather disconcertingly, that my foot wouldn't actually reach the brake pedal, or at least I could just about touch it, but I couldn't push it down. And it was starting to gather speed and running down towards the main road, and then suddenly at the bottom it stopped. And then it reversed back up the hill of its own accord and back into the yard. Which was all very strange. And there is this one pretty strange sort of sorry, a bit out of breath here, actually, rushing around. Um, One very strange sort of final bit about this dream, in as much as it's similar to the dream I had a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned that I heard this, woke up with this music on my mind, and then a couple of nights later I watched this DVD which ended with the same music. The odd thing about this dream was that I was trying to work out when I woke up what sort of car it was, and from the front of it, the nearest I could get to was it looked like an old Wolsey, which is an old car. Obviously, I don't make any more. They don't make any of them anymore over here, of their own ones. But used to use them as police cars in the 1950s. So if you ever see any British cops and robbers films, they usually Wolsleys. But anyway, that's that. Then a couple of days later, I was watching yet another DVD. And blow me, if it was set in the 40s, or this part of the film was, and the taxi rolls up and a man gets out of it, it was old Wolsey. Very similar looking car. I hadn't seen one for years, so why I dreamt that, I don't know. Sorry, I'll have to stop now, catch my breath. Perhaps Dwayne might like to comment on that, please.
Yes, catch your breath, young man. You kids made it. That's good. So we gave you a week rest here. So you kids are ready, huh? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Yeah, so,
So,
thanks for the week's rest. Unfortunately, we messed up over the timing because I didn't realise which way the clock was going.
no, that's okay. It gives me a rest too. We have so many Skypes going on, and so I wanted to pull back a little bit too because we're doing so much. So and a lot of other areas too. So yeah, it gives Ava and I a rest too. So, but actually we're busy in other areas. But anyhow, okay, so the basic idea, it's a vehicle, and you're pushing it, and then you glide it downhill and go back. So, you know, in this situation here, it can be that, you know, you're going from an upper level to a lower one and back again. You know, you might say using that idea, all right? So just kind of look at the vehicle as an idea. Along those lines. And so when you're looking at like a TV show or something, there's a taxi, right? And what do taxis do? They carry people around, they assist people, etc. So you know, something along those lines where you're you know, it's like an attitude that you have, that you assist others. You see what you're doing here, something like that. Very simple.
Right, okay, well, curiously enough, I think the very next night I had another dream about a vehicle, but this time it was a railway, or sorry, you'd call it a railroad vehicle, a locomotive. It was actually, I don't know whether you haven't had them in America, but when they're steam engines, or what we call a tank engine, just a small engine, didn't actually pull a tender with separate coal, and the coal was actually in the thing itself, and it had tanks full of water on it, hence the name. But it was just one with 6 big road wheels, road wheels, driving wheels, and it was difficult to explain really. But where I used to live when I was a small boy, we lived in these what they call over here terraced houses, which are like 2 uppers and 2 downers, rows of houses, which have just a narrow passageway between each house. Have a front door as well, but to get to the back you had to go up a narrow passageway between the 2 houses, only about a yard wide, just about enough for somebody to push wheel a bike up or something, but you certainly couldn't get a motor vehicle, or let alone train up it. But in this dream, it seemed quite unusual, quite usual, and nothing unusual about the fact that this full-sized tank engine off the railway was going up the passageway, and I was up the top of at the top of the passageway where the gate was, and like I say, there's a woman driving it, and it stopped. It got up the passageway all right, but it was so close to the wall she couldn't get out of it, and that's where the dream finished. But I don't know what else that was about. But over to you, please.
Okay, trying to make that out from what you're saying. So there's a woman driving. She was coming towards you, or what's the idea?
Well, I was at the top of the passage. I mean, it wasn't as if it was going to hit me because I was just inside the gate. The gates sort of form a V at the top where they join the sort of central fence between the backyards. Then I was sort of inside the gate, open gate, so there was no danger of being run over or anything, but the thing just stopped anyway before it got to the top. But she, as I say, that was really the end of the dream. She couldn't get out of it because the doorways were flush against the walls of the passageway, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I understand. It was probably Joni, or the influence, simply because, and it's one of those old tanks things, and you said it runs on coal. Okay, so that's the fuel. So, coal is not a good thing. It's polluting. It's awful, etc. So that's her vehicle. So just trying to get to you, but she couldn't.
Oh, right. I never thought of that. That's quite interesting. Yeah, as I say, it was an old style steam engine. This was the thing. That's why I had coal and water. It wasn't a modern diesel electric or anything.
Kind of like a military vehicle in a way, what you're describing, almost like a Hummer or something. And yeah, so she was just trying to get to you, but she wasn't able to, and it wasn't even able to get out. She was, you might say, she was squeezed in. You see. So again. Yeah, that's normal. Well, we all get that. You'll constantly get that. The influence is always there, just trying to pick on you and everybody else. And they come in various ways, disguises, etc. And but the real you knows what's going on, and you were protected there. You were fine, but again, it's things to look out for because it's always there. So. Even when I ride my bike out, I watch the cars because I know the influence is always there with people, and especially around the corners and stuff like that. I have a neighbor here that's been hit twice just in the last couple of weeks. He was hit the second time by cars because he didn't pay attention. He does, but they're tricky, and I see that many times when I there's blind corners everywhere, and I just watch these things and I wait because if I were to go, many times there's a car right there, and it can be 2 a.m. in the morning. So because the influence is working all the time, 24/7, just like the world controllers are. They're working 24/7 to deceive people, and you're in creation. It's time to wake up. So again, yeah, I would say it's the influence trying to get to you.
Right, okay. Well, moving on from that, then I had another dream, which it also involved a woman, actually, which maybe another connection with her. This is a bit slightly longer dream, a bit more tricky to explain. I seem to be in this what we call, I don't know if you have them in America, we call them building societies. It's like a small bank. It specialises in mortgages and savings and things. But that's not really relevant. But I happened to be in the lobby of one, and there was a woman assistant there talking to me. And then the scene changed, and the woman was still standing more or less in the same place, but instead of the building society, we were now in the ground floor, what you would call the first floor of a big house. It seems a bit funny, but I was actually at a sink, and there seemed to be a washing place near the front door of this house, which is rather unusual, to say the least. And I was standing there, actually washing my face and having a shave, and there was a little window near to me, a sort of frosted one, and I could see a face in this window, and I realised in the dream who it was. It was like, although when I woke up I didn't know who it was, but in the dream I seemed to know who it was. It was a rather angry sort of client. And I sort of went to the front door to let him in, and he was standing there with this very miserable woman, and he got a great box of accounting records, because I've mentioned before that's my job. and I sort of motioned him in, and then the woman walked in, but the man didn't. And I walked back to the sink to dry my face, and then I was aware that the man had suddenly gone back out again, and for some reason was trying to get in a bedroom window on the what we call the first floor. He's called the second floor. And got some sort of hoisting apparatus, and was trying to get this big box of well, he was trying to open the window so he could get this big box of accounting records in, but without any success. So I was proceeding to open the window for him, and that's where the dream ended. So, but again, it did feature in this case a seemingly menacing woman. So I wonder if it's a connection with what you were just saying about the other dream.
In the first part, Peter, you were where? On an upper floor somewhere?
No, I was on the ground floor to start with, and went up to the upper floor towards the end because the man was I presume up a ladder or something, but he got some sort of hoist thing and was trying to open the upstairs window to get in. I don't know why, because the front door was open and the woman who was with her had already come inside, but it seemed rather illogical.
No, not really, but the upper floor is like the real side, and the ground floor is like the earth. So, and did they knock on the door, or what was the idea, and you let them in? Is that the idea?
I'm not sure if they knocked or not, but I saw them through the window, so I went and opened the door, and they were standing there. So they might have knocked, but I didn't hear them actually knock. I don't think. I saw them, so I went and opened the door.
Well, the sink in the front is that again you're cleaning yourself up for this, so you want to look at the impression there and what the woman looked like.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say this actually because I thought it was a bit embarrassing, but to be honest, she was wearing a topless dress, which was another part of the dream, which was rather strange. Although when she came in, she seemed to be wearing a normal dress. But I don't know. I can't say what she actually looked like. I mean, she wasn't particularly attractive. I know that. She got sort of a grimace on her face. Well, all I can say actually, I think probably my attention was elsewhere.
Okay. You want to slow down a little bit. Yeah. So she didn't have any clothes on, and she had a little grin on her face.
Well, no, she had clothes on, but just the top that was.
Okay.
was clothes, just as Gwen just said. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. It's just slow down. Yeah. Well, again, then if she didn't have anything on the top, the upper part of herself, she's exposing herself to you. So it just depends here. The actions of the experience. What was your impression with her when you let her in? So what was the impression as you let her in?
Well, I assumed she was his wife, and they were coming in and they were just dropping off the books, the books of account, nothing more nor less, really. And she came in and he didn't. That was a strange thing. And then, as I say, he disappeared. When I came back, I saw it. Somehow I managed to see him upstairs. I don't know how, because there didn't seem to be a ceiling, but there should have been in normal life. But so he didn't come in. She came in and stood there, continually looking miserable. And then he went up to the bedroom window for some reason, trying to get in there. This was a strange. Well, one of the strange things about it.
It's not strange. It's just very simple. So you went up there too. You let him in, right?
Well, it got to that was where the dream ended. I went up there and I was just opening the window to let him in, and that was where the dream finished. So he didn't actually get in. But I suppose if the dream had continued, he would have done.
Well, it usually ends like that. So it's just simply giving you the idea. That's why it ends. It's not a movie. It's just giving you the idea. So. She comes in, she's topless. In other words, she's exposing herself to you, okay? And so, and then the other fellow goes around, and he's going to the second floor, which is the real side, and you let him in. So that's your real awareness. You're seeing that, you're letting him in. And he has some books, some kind of books for you, and it's these two are from the mortgage company. Was that the idea?
No. He was. I'm an accountant. He was a client. He was bringing in his business books, his business records. I don't know, perhaps you call them something else over there, but what we call them books. I mean, records of account in a big box. That's all. It wasn't anything to do with the actual. I don't know what the significance of the mortgage company in the first instance was, but it was just that's where the dream started, and then the scene sort of rapidly changed. But
well, banks and that and whatever, they deal with financing. So again, these are just, they disguise these experiences a lot because it takes a while to recognize. Everything's about recognition, and this is where people have real side experiences like this. But, the basic idea is the first floor is physical. Okay, that's your personal self. And you're cleaning up your personal self, you might say, to get ready for this. Okay, all of a sudden you look out the window, there's somebody there. Well, there's a part of you that knows that this is going to take place. And so the second part is he's climbing on the ladder to the second floor because, again, I would say that he went around the side because the personal self probably wouldn't let him through. So he went around to the real side, the second floor, and as you go up to the second floor, see, you're out of the personal self. That's the real you. You're allowing this to come in. So we could say that that could be one of the guides, both of them one of the guides. One is working the physical side, the other is working the real side. It could be Paul or Rebazar, and it could be Ava at the door there because you let them in, you see. And they're bringing you some information, but it's disguised as some kind of books or something, or a client. See, that's what they do. They'll disguise things. And so that's bringing you something on the real side, you see. And again, these things are, they look funny, okay? They do look funny, but it's very, very simple. Because again, the idea here is that you let them in, you see. Now, you look at the previous experience with the lady with the old car or whatever, the six-wheeled half-track or whatever it was, see, that was a different experience. That's with a woman again. And so this one here, but you looked out the window, so the house is your personal self. And so that's a peek outside of your personal self that you recognize something, so you open the door, you see. That's why I asked you if there was a knock. There didn't have to be a knock, you see. So kind of look at it like that and see what you see, okay?
Right, okay. Well, just one more dream. This was a couple of nights ago, actually. I was standing in what appeared to be a backyard, which seemed to be just a big square, actually, of grass. But it was surrounded by tall bushes, about 10 feet high. There were no fences or anything you could see, but just bushes all round. It was like a square, really, basically just grass with huge bushes all bordering it off each side. And I was standing there, and then suddenly I heard this rustling noise, and something landed in the middle of the lawn, and I looked at it. For some reason, it was a pair of boxing gloves. I don't know what on earth that's about, because I can't stand boxing personally. I know Kevin likes it, but it's not my thing at all. And I don't know, so I don't know where that came from. But I was still sort of staring in disbelief. And then I heard another noise, and I looked to the right, and I could see through the sort of gaps in the leaves. I could see some big dark animal standing there in what I presume was the next garden, or next yard. And then it came bursting through into the garden I was standing in, and just sort of stood there and looked at me. And it was like a great big sort of a horsey thing. It's a bit bigger than a normal horse. It was quite a sizable thing. I don't know whether it was prehistoric or what it was, but the nearest thing was like a horse, except it didn't have the sort of slender legs of a horse. It had sort of big, thick sort of legs, and it was all very hairy or bushy. I mean, it's like a woolly rhinoceros or a mammoth. That sort of a covering of sort of wool or hair, whatever you want to call it, and just sort of stood there looking at me, and I just walked up to it and I started stroking its head and its ears, which all seems to be a good introductory move with dogs and cats in my experience. So I thought I'd try it with this thing, and it seemed quite happy with that. And then that was the end of that dream.
Okay, so first comes over the hedge is a pair of boxing gloves on your lawn, and you see those, right?
Yeah, well, I came through the bush rather than over it. But
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay, came through the bush. So, what I see from that is, again, what are boxing gloves? Somebody throws you a pair of boxing gloves. What's the idea? Did they have to explain it to you? So if they're standing across from you, they got boxing gloves on, and they throw you a pair. What does that mean? So it's not about you're the boxer or not. It's confrontation, isn't it? So the boxing gloves are a heads up to a confrontation. Could be any, which could go anywhere. So good or bad or whatever, but you didn't pick up the boxing gloves. So as this creature came through, you decided to kind of make friends with it, etc. So you had the choice, didn't you? Something like that.
All right. Yeah, that's fair comment. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so things are signals is what they are. So again, see, when you first looked at the boxing glove, you're thinking this or that. Well, that's your personal self. Again, these experiences very seldom, but sometimes they do have to deal with your personal self, but they're actually things you're going through to recognize. That's the difference. It's a recognition. But what we usually do, and I do it too because I have a personal self, we go to our mind and we're having new experiences and we're still going to our mind to look for the answer. Well, with a new experience, you usually don't have it in your mind. So this is where you start to use your awareness. This is where you start to, flex that part of yourself, you might say. You see, it's about awareness getting you to that recognition. So, we've all been through many lifetimes and different paths and knowledge and whatever. Oh, these things are interesting. But again, and the idea of truth and all that is people search for truth, and we do that for a while, but guess what? It's all created here. There's no truth here except personal truth. That's it. All these sound good, look good things, they're all in creation. So these experiences are about awareness, you see. So again, things are demonstrative of a particular, but you have free will, so instead of a confrontation of boxing it out or being afraid or whatever, yeah, I would say your real awareness took over, and it's like, okay, well, I'll just take the risk and pet this thing and see what happens, and it seemed to be okay. There you go. You made the choice.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for that.